Hey everyone, Merch Hunter Ricky back. Good afternoon, and we are talking about One Piece chapter 1098. And right away, what a painful chapter. From all the backstories we've collected over the years in One Piece, all the tear-jerking moments and all the brutal, jaw-dropping scenes we've had, this chapter takes the cake in almost every way possible. In my last video, I talked about how I really wish that Bonnie was the biological daughter of Kuma and Ginny. I got half of my wish. She is the biological daughter of Ginny, as we reveal in this chapter. However, it seems that Bonnie is the product of an unconsensual relationship between Ginny and a celestial dragon. And it's shocking and jarring and terrible. And I can't help but feel that Oda couldn't finish the chapter because the nature of the chapter was so brutal. And you write it as a father. You're not just an author anymore, you are also a father. So at the back of his mind, he's also thinking of his kids in a way. And as a father myself of 3 amazing children, 2 of which are girls, this kind of nature really shakes me to my core, because there is not an enemy in the world that I would wish the fate of having to become the wedded wife of a celestial dragon. And speaking of the word dragon, Luffy's father, the leader of the Revolutionary Army, I do not think that people should be placing the blame on him like they have been. I genuinely think it is a genuinely brain-dead take to think that it's Dragon's fault that Ginny got captured by the revolutionaries by the Celestial Dragons when her revolutionary regiment were in the middle of flirting with her when someone within freaking eye distance attacked them and captured Ginny. And it's just tragic. And this is exactly how Oda has painted Kuma to be the single most tragic and well-told character in the entire series. Whether or not he had this plan for Kuma to begin with, he has built up and delivered chapter after chapter. Every single piece of Kuma's flashback, from birth, we have now known Kuma. We see the moment of his birth and how it's immediately tragic. His parents are instantly found and captured for the father's buccaneer heritage. From there, we meet him again at God Valley after seeing him be a slave to a celestial dragon as a child, watching his reaction to his mom dying, his father dying directly in his face. He has a moment of light when he meets Ivankov in God Valley. And then everything starts to get better for Kuma for quite some time. However, then King Bikori of Sorbet Kingdom divides the island in half. This causes Kuma to get captured and Ginny to also follow suit and get captured. However, they are rescued by Ivankov and Dragon. And from there, Kuma joins the Revolutionary Army. He helps form the foundations of it. But with those beginning foundations comes the wet feet of those soldiers who were flirting with Ginny when they were on the job and got Ginny captured, and they lost their lives for it. Now, Dragon could not act immediately to get Ginny back. Here's why. Because he now, as in 7 years later from that point in the story when Ginny got captured, right? Or at least, she's long since passed within Bonnie being 5 years old now. The problem is that Dragon had no resources. He could not send his men on a death mission, especially with them being so new to soldiering. They would have just been a complete wipe at Mary Joa, and they probably would have gotten Ginny killed. So this whole chapter is so brutal and so hard to watch, but it's so rewarding at the same time. You feel terrible for Kuma and for Ginny, who is just such a well-written, loving woman, and it really hurts. I teared up and I pretty much cried the second that they said she was wed to a celestial dragon. I read it on my phone typically. I just put my phone down and just kind of sat there wallowing for a little bit and then just was like, let's keep reading. And you get a really beautiful moment of Kuma meeting Bonnie for the first time. People telling him that his big ass body is just too dangerous for him to sleep next to her. So they're gonna make her an iron cage, and he in fact uses said cage. But seeing him grow into a father is the most beautiful thing. Especially, like I said, I'm a dad myself, and I've had a lot to learn and a lot of things to cut out of my life and a lot of things to add into my life. And to see Kuma just snap into action for a kid that's technically not his is insane. But the moment that broke me in this chapter is for sure her first word, or at least her first time saying daddy to Kuma, and he just wells up and cries. I have a son that does not speak, and he's 6 years old, so I've always wanted to hear his voice. So my daughter, she talks a lot, and I remember her first calling me Ricky, because she does not really call me dad. I am her dad, but she doesn't call me dad. She just calls me Ricky. If you ask her who her dad is, she'll say Ricky. But like when I realized she's just been calling me Ricky, I just remember like busting out into laughing so hard that I kind of teared up with just joy. Like, wow, she really knows my name and she likes calling me Ricky. I love that. And I could feel 10 times the amount of pain in Kuma's tears. And I mean, like, let's back it up a little bit to where he leaves the area where I think they're in Baltio when Ginny calls them. And Ginny is like, hey, this is my last goodbye to you guys. And before Kuma can seemingly hear it, we don't know. He might have stuck around to heard it, but he pops out to go see her back in Sorbet Kingdom, and she says, I'll always love you. I always have and always will. Dragon, Eva, my Kuma's got a big heart. Take care of him. Like that. Oh, it hurts so bad. I have a really loving wife. I love the shit out of her, and she's an amazing woman, and she has genuinely made my life better. So thinking of anything like that happening to her, it just makes my skin crawl. When he is holding Ginny's body, that part is really hard to watch, but like in a way it becomes kind of rewarding when you have the panel of his back facing facing us and his head towards the cross, and he makes that vow, Ginny, you can rest easy, I'm gonna raise Bonnie. That is a beautiful moment. It's like everyone's been saying, he's not the dad that was her father, but he's the dad that stepped up, and it's awesome to see Kuma, the duality of Kuma being fighting for the Revolutionary Army, going back to Father Ginny, fighting for the Revolutionary Army, even training Sabo, and then going back to be the soft-hearted man he truly was meant to be. He fights, but he loves. And I feel like there is no greater example of pure-hearted love than characters like your Kumas, your Corazons, your Pedros, Izo. I mean, god damn, Oda. Like, you really know how to crush your fan base in a really, really awesome way. Because there's one thing that we are all united on right now, and it's we hate the Celestial Dragons. And the minute their downfall happens, I promise you the entire world will hear cheering from the One Piece fan base. You'll hear it far and wide. Wow, that chapter is something else, man. And then to see at the end that Bonnie contracts Sapphire Scale that Ginny got killed for having. I don't really want to get into Sapphire Scale in this video. I want to do that later. But to see that Bonnie contracts it. In my last video, I even said the forefront of Kuma's flashback isn't even technically Kuma. It is the Celestial Dragons' cruelty. Not them themselves, but their cruelty. The way they are affecting Kuma. Kuma has been put down by these people nearly every year of his life, minus the brief period of time he was able to love Ginny. But damn, man, I hate these Celestial Dragons. And the other part of the point of this flashback was how he meets Vegapunk, which we are clearly getting next chapter. I don't care. That is my prediction. I'm calling it. I'm sure everyone's calling it, so I'm not going to take any type of credit for being right if that does happen next chapter. But we're going to see that Vegapunk, who has now long since been with the world government, he'll either be connected to Kuma through Dragon, or Kuma will go to the world government themselves, much like we've seen other people do, like Blackbeard. He's going to make a deal with them. He's going to plead to meet someone like a Vegapunk to cure his Bonnie. And if Vegapunk is able to do that, I shudder to think that the cost of saving his daughter is him becoming the cyborg, losing pieces of himself slowly, becoming something of a Terminator-like personality, in body and mind. And unfortunately, Bonnie has now absorbed these memories of Kuma, so she knows everything. So Saturn clearly invokes her ire because he was the one that caused the final switch to be flipped and turned Kuma into the cyborg. However, what else did she see in the flashback? We still have a little bit left to go. And I don't know how much more I can take, Oda, so please give us some sort of happiness after Kuma's flashback. Let us see Kuma win. Because we already know he's on death's door. Like, we know he will be dying when he enters Egghead. Because I don't care what anyone else says. He left the Mary Joa to pop over to Egghead. I know it in my heart. He's going to appear in front of Bonnie and get his head blown off by Saturn or the firing squad that's about to shoot Bonnie. Oh, what a chapter, man. I don't really have much else to say. It took a lot for me to make this video without crying. My voice has been quivering this entire time. Because, goddamn, man, it's a brutal backstory. But hey, tomorrow I have a Devil Fruit video coming out, so stick around for that. Anyways, subscribe to the video or subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I appreciate you watching. Please leave a like and a comment down below with your thoughts. I would love to talk to you about this chapter. Have a great day, everybody.